What's up, Sweatshoppers? We got a video for you today. I was walking down the street and I saw Adam Silver's tall, lanky self, and out of his right pocket there was a piece of paper that read NBA script, and I figured it was for the playoffs. So I got a plunger and I put it on his I put it on his bald head, and I gave him the old yaga. That may be too old for y'all, but I gave him the old yaga, stole the script out of his pocket, and now I'm reading it for y'all. That's what this video is today. Like and subscribe, comment down below what you think is gonna happen in the playoffs, and watch the video all the way through. I don't know when he's gonna find me and take this video down.
Mavs vs Clippers Part 3. Will Luka finally be able to beat Los Angeles now that he has a good supporting cast to face them with? Will Kawhi and the Clippers fall flat on their faces once again, despite this being the most stacked roster in the history of the franchise? Anything could happen. Who knows who'll advance? The Sweatshop. The Sweatshop knows, ladies and gentlemen, it's the Mavs. I'm not gonna hold you, I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. I'm very comfortable in saying the Mavs are gonna set this Kawhi and PG-13 era next to O.J. Simpson. And there are two reasons for that. One, this is easily the most well-rounded Mavs roster Luka has ever been a part of. Two, the Clippers have looked suspect for a significant portion of the season. Let's start with number one to keep it positive for a little bit longer. The Mavs look terrifying. Their offense has the requisite level of potency you'd expect from a Luka and Kyrie tandem, but the true thing that makes them scary is surprisingly their defense. Bolstered by the usual Maxi Kleber, Josh Green, and then a host of new front court players they acquired either in trades or free agency, one of whom I gotta apologize to. PJ Washington, I hated on you a little bit when you got traded, but you've been playing exceptionally well on the Mavs, especially on the defensive end. I apologize, you've been doing pretty well, my boy. You combine a playoff Luka with a healthy Kyrie as his tag team partner and a good defense, it's gonna be hard to convince me that there's a better contender in the West other than the Nuggets, and the Clippers just aren't the Nuggets. The thing that's wrong with the Clippers is the thing that's always been wrong with the Clippers. On paper, they look like the best team in the league. In practice, they are not. Let's just set aside the injuries because we have no idea when Kawhi is coming back. The Clippers just have too many red flags, vibes being off, and over-reliance on jump shooting, inconsistent levels of play throughout the season. And last thing, just give me 1 second, please. Gun to your head, name 5 good James Harden playoff games. You're dead. When you watch the Clippers play or look at their on-off numbers, there's a credible case to be made that their most important player, offensively speaking, is James Harden. So if he puts up his usual James Harden-esque playoff performance, then I don't see how the Clippers can win, especially with Kawhi being out. That's why James Harden is my X factor for the Clippers. For the Mavs, my X factor is their 3 main forwards: Derrick Jones Jr., Maxi Kleber, and the aforementioned PJ Washington. As I said before, for the first time in who knows how long, the Mavs have a pretty good defense. This defense is held back, however, by 2 weak points, and I would like to reiterate, I am not saying either of these guys are horrific defenders, but Kyrie is small and Luka is slow. They are going to get picked on in the playoffs. I am sorry. Because of this, it will be imperative for the 3 players I mentioned before to be on their defensive A games both on and off ball, and I am very confident that all 3 will be more than passable. So why are they X factors if I'm confident they're going to be good? Well, that, my friend, has to do with the other end of the court, their offense. None of these guys are what you would call above average 3-point shooters. I wouldn't say they are bad, but they are certainly not good. Because of this, in combination with Luka and Kyrie's offensive wizardry, the Clippers defenders are going to leave the aforementioned 3 players butt booty naked wide open so they can double the Mavs stars on their drives. This is going to lead to PJ, DJ, and our boy Maxi No Maxi Pad getting a lot of open threes. If these guys can collectively make these threes at a league average 37-ish% and thus be threats on both offense and defense, then I think the Mavs will have a legitimate shot to take down the Nuggets. If not, then the second round is the clear ceiling for this team. Either way, the Clippers have too many red flags for me to trust them. 4-2, Mavs discipline the Clippers. Next! Timberwolves versus Suns. Can ants read books? Can the cat survive the snake? Can the Beal overcome the Rudy? I don't know. You. This is another very evenly matched series between a couple teams that appear to have a bit of animosity for each other. It ain't no Mavs Clippers or Pacers Bucks, but there does appear to be some hatred between the two of them. Enough for us to have a pretty chippy playoff series, no Frito-Lay. The thing that is gonna make this series specifically pretty interesting is that both these teams have pretty evenly matched strengths that directly oppose the other. The Suns' offense, one of the best in the league, bolstered by the big three of KD, D-Book, and Bradley Beal, and further supplemented by a lot of really solid budget role players, i.e. Grayson Allen, and the Timberwolves' #1 defense in the league, headed up by Jaden McDaniels, Rudy Gobert, and Anthony Edwards. If it were up to these guys' strengths, then I think this series would come to a stalemate, a coin flip. I really wouldn't know who would win. So because of that, we have to look at each team's weakness. Or not really weakness, just the lesser part of their games. Who do you trust more, the Suns' defense or the Timberwolves' offense? It's a pretty even matchup on that end too. It could go either way, but I think I will have to go with the Suns' defense. The Suns have a pretty solid overall team defense, but it hasn't just been solid against the Timberwolves this season. It's been straitjacket. The Suns have locked the Timberwolves down each time they've played them this season, and that's primarily because when the Suns face the Timberwolves, they throw the kitchen sink, the stoves, the pots and pans, the deep fryer, the microwave, and the small child waiting on their McDonald's chicken nuggets at Anthony Edwards to try and stop him. And no one else on the Minnesota roster reliably steps up to the plate. If you believe the Wolves are going to win this series, you believe one or both of these things. One, Anthony Edwards is a top 3 player in the league and is going to have an all-time great playoff performance despite the extensive amount of defensive pressure he is going to be under. Or two, Cat and the rest of the Wolves supporting cast is going to be able to pick up some slack and reliably create some offense for themselves while Ant has the entire Suns defense looking at him. If you believe either of those things, that's perfectly valid. I personally think Ant is closer to 10th than he is to 3rd, and I'm not sure if I trust the rest of Minnesota's roster to consistently create their own offense. You combine that with the inevitable KD at the 5 minutes, which is inevitably going to lead to Rudy Gobert getting somewhat exposed, and I gotta give the edge to Phoenix. Minnesota still has its advantages, mainly Ant still being the best player in the series and a really good team defense themselves, so I think they definitely have a chance to win, but this series is going to be a coin flip, and I'm going to give the slight nod to Phoenix. 4-3, the Suns avoid a premature heat death. I know you see the wordplay. Nuggets Lakers.
You are my sunshine.
Boy, oh boy. Lakers are on pack watch. I don't know what y'all want me to say. The Nuggets have beat the Lakers like 8 times in a row or something. I don't know. Like, I can give you guys solid analysis, but sometimes it just boils down to the last time the Lakers beat the Nuggets, people were still holding out hope for Marvel movies. Like, I don't know. The only way I think you can consistently beat the Nuggets is if you have a good all-around team defense. The Lakers don't have a good all-around team defense. Their only plus perimeter defenders are Cam Reddish and Jared Vanderbilt, who I'm not sure is even back yet. Anthony Davis just has too much to worry about with Nikola Jokic to focus on cleaning up everyone else's messes too. So I'll give the Lakers a couple games just because D'Lo was so bad last year. He cannot possibly be that bad again. And also LeBron was injured and now he appears to be healthy. So I'll give the Lakers a couple games, but I cannot see them beating this Nuggets team 4 times. Nuggets over Lakers 4-2. Bucks versus Pacers. Pack watch Part 2 for the Bucks. Even assuming Milwaukee has a healthy Giannis for the full series, this would still be a pretty bad matchup for the Bucks. The Bucks are 1-4 against Indiana this year, and that one win came when Giannis only had, his career high 64 points. Every other game where Giannis didn't have the literal best game of his career, light work, primarily because the Pacers' main strength, speed and perimeter play, precisely corresponds with the Bucks' weaknesses, slow and old. Oh, and don't forget, all these games were played not just before the Pacers acquired Pascal Siakam, who's now their second best player, is playoff and championship proven, and is another body they can throw at Giannis. These games were also played before the Bucks made the legendary all-time galaxy brain decision to fire their 30-13 coach and hire the greatest choker in the history of the sport in his stead. And again, this is before Giannis had multiple Achilles scares in the span of a few weeks. Pacers 4-2, Giannis to New York, Rivers to the Shadow Realm. Next, Magic Cavs. I'm doing it. I'm letting my heart win. Magic over Cavs. Let's go, young Bucks. I don't care about youth. I just cannot shake this feeling that the Magic are going to do something this year. And the Cavs are just the team to do that against. Now that Orlando has fully ramped up one of the most versatile and underrated defenders in the league, the Minister of Defense, Jonathan Isaac, there is no doubt in my mind that they will have the best playoff defense aside from maybe Boston. This defense can switch everything. They're versatile. They're physical. They have someone that's plus size at every single position, and they're quick. I just don't see how you can think any other team is better personnel than they do. And the Cavs, to me, just look kind of vulnerable on that end of the court. I don't know. Last year, their biggest issue was spacing. They had almost no reliable floor spacers outside of Darius Garland and Donovan Mitchell. This year, they do have a lot more spacers, but I just don't know about the Evan Mobley, Jarrett Allen pairing. Offensively, defensively, they're amazing, but offensively, I don't know. Both of them not being floor spacers in this day and age, I just feel like one of them, probably Evan Mobley, is gonna have his minutes significantly reduced, or maybe just not get that usual playoff bump. And then on the other end of the court, yes, the Magic's offense isn't that good, but in playoff basketball, the biggest thing to worry about is who on your defense is exploitable. The Magic have no one. The Cavs have two people. They're two most important players that can be matchup hunted. And I know I'm kind of just boiling it down to matchup hunting, exploitation, just kind of throwing scheme out the window, but both these defenses are so good that this is exactly what it's going to come down to. All these games are going to be 95-93 with 5 minutes left in the game. And it's going to come down to which team can more reliably exploit the other team's weaknesses. And honestly, despite the Magic's offensive woes, they have one less hole to me than this Cavs roster does. I think this series is going to go the full 7 games, but I think in the end, Paolo and Franz are going to pull this out. 4-3. Do you believe in magic? All right, Sixers, Knicks. I really have no idea what to do with this series. With all the other ones, I kind of knew. With this one, I have literally no idea. You see, the issue is I like the Knicks a lot, but their only offensive creator that I'm really worried about is Jalen Brunson. When I do my rankings at the end of the year, he's probably going to be a top 10 player in the league for me personally. I think he's a superstar, and I think he himself is going to show up. I just don't know how much help he's going to have. So I'm not sure if the Knicks have enough firepower to push them over the top and get them to the second round. On the other hand, though, the Sixers have had playoff woes for the entirety of Joel Embiid's career, and he also looks injured. So I just don't know. In the end, I think I'm gonna go with the Sixers. I think Nick Nurse is one of the best coaches in the league, and he's probably gonna dial something up that's gonna make it really tough for Jalen Brunson to get his shot off. So the Knicks role players are gonna have to step up, and I just don't know if they have the personnel really to do that. And then offensively, I think Tyrese Maxey can match about like 80 to 90% of what Jalen Brunson does, and then anything you get from Joel Embiid is a plus. So I think I'm gonna go Sixers, but that series I got going 7 games as well, 4-3.
And finally, OKC versus New Orleans. I don't understand the hate OKC gets. I really don't. Like, I understand they're young and they do have not a huge weakness, but a pretty big one in that they are all slim jims, no girth whatsoever. But it's like the worst number 1 seed of all time. Like, they're versatile, they have a good team defense, they have an MVP candidate, and then on top of that, they got like 3-4 other players that can give you buckets. Like, I don't know, man. Like, I understand you not having them, even like your top 2-3 teams in the West. I understand that, but all the disrespect is just wild. I don't know. Other than that, New Orleans doesn't have Zion. He's really the engine of their team. He's what makes their offense really go. They're still going to be a tough team, but without Zion, I just don't see. Oh my, Adam, I'm sorry.
How do you turn this